What if the best operating system you can install right now isn't Windows or Mac and costs absolutely nothing? Millions of you use it every day, but you just don't know it. It powers the internet, runs the majority of servers, and gives you more control over your computer than anything you've ever used. Though unfortunately most people have never even tried it. What I'm talking about is Linux. This might sound like an alien word to you, but after this video you'll realize you've been using the wrong operating system all along. Once you convert, you'll be telling everyone about it. You'll be like a preacher on the side street preaching the gospel, but it won't be the gospel of Christ. It will be about a little penguin called Tux and how he brought you to salvation. So keep watching, because once you see what Windows is doing behind the scenes compared to Linux, you may never look at your PC the same way again. So everybody knows that Windows sucks, yet it is the most popular consumer PC OS in the world. It comes pre-installed on basically every device, essentially handicapping you by default. Now I'm going to list some of the main issues with Windows, so if you are a Windows user, this should sound familiar to you. Windows has slowly become less of an operating system and more of an advertising platform disguised as one. From the very moment you install it, Microsoft pushes you toward creating an online account instead of just letting you simply use your own computer with a local account like Linux does by default. What used to feel like your machine now feels like a service you're renting from a corporation, and that's only the beginning. Windows comes packed with pre-installed apps, sponsored software, telemetry services, background processes, and features most people never asked for. A fresh Windows install can consume multiple gigabytes of RAM while sitting idle, whereas many Linux distributions can run smoothly using a fraction of that memory. On older hardware especially, Linux feels fast and responsive, while Windows often feels like the incarnation of Daniel Lambert: fat, sluggish, slow, and always hungry for your data. Then there's the tracking. Type something into the Windows search bar and there's a good chance that the query gets sent straight to Microsoft servers. During setup, you're bombarded with page after page of privacy toggles, ad personalization settings, diagnostic data collection, location tracking, activity history, and tailored experiences, all enabled by default unless you manually disable them one by one. And even after doing that, telemetry still exists deep inside the operating system. Microsoft even introduced Recall, a feature designed to constantly take snapshots of your computer activity so AI could remember everything you've done. Think about how insane that is for a second. Your operating system literally recording your screen in the background. Even though the backlash forced Microsoft to delay and change parts of it, the fact that they thought users would accept it says a lot about the direction Windows is heading, and says a lot about what Microsoft thinks they can get away with, and somehow it gets worse. Ads are now built directly into the operating system in the start menu, lock screen, notifications, file explorer suggestions, widget feeds, and more. Edge, Microsoft's default browser, aggressively pushes itself every chance it gets, constantly begging you not to switch browsers. Copilot is welded into the OS whether you ask for AI features or not, and Windows Update is like a rash you just can't get rid of, restarting your PC unexpectedly, reinstalling features you disabled, and forcing changes on your system whether you want them or not. Recently, the Artemis II mission to the moon was plagued with issues with Outlook, where they had two Outlooks, Microsoft's email client, but to quote, neither of them were working. Let me just reiterate, this was an issue on a mission to the moon. That isn't even all of the problems with Windows. I wouldn't be able to finish the video if it was. So what is the solution? Because it's easy to be negative and bash something 24/7, but I think it's more productive to provide a solution to people who are irritated and frustrated with the way Windows is heading. The solution is Linux. Now, Linux isn't perfect. I'd be lying if I said it was. It has a learning curve, some compatibility issues, and sometimes requires more technical knowledge. But Linux respects the idea that your computer belongs to you. Windows increasingly feels like software designed to serve Microsoft first and the user second. The fact is, they actually started to peel back their features and started to focus on quality. Let's just take a look at this article posted in March of 2026 called Our Commitment to Windows Quality. Let's take a little read. More taskbar customization in 2026. They are now just allowing you to move the taskbar, a feature that has been on Linux for years and on Windows if I remember correctly. You could move the taskbar to any position on Windows 10, so they removed the feature, waited for years for people to complain about it, and now they are bringing it back, and suddenly they are introducing the ability to move your taskbar. It isn't introducing if we are already acquainted with the feature, but I digress. Secondly, integrating AI where it is most meaningful. So they are essentially admitting that yes, we were just putting AI wherever we wanted, but now we will try and put it where it means something to the user. No, how about just using Linux? There is no AI, no Copilot, nothing, just you and your desktop. Faster and more dependable file explorer. I have used Windows 11 and the file explorer is so sluggish. The search takes forever and it feels so heavy when you're using it. It is like every click is processed by a snail going backwards on a treadmill. On Linux, it is so fast and customizable. It was only 3 years ago that they introduced tabs in the file explorer, allowing you to browse multiple folders without needing multiple windows. Again, this has been on Linux for years. More control over widgets and feed experiences. This is another thing where Linux just blows it out of the water. With the KDE, I get to choose whatever widgets I want. I can put them on the desktop, put them on the taskbar however I like. This one here is pretty neat. It is a color picker, it does one thing and one thing well. Scrolling down, they also talk about focusing on performance, reliability and well-crafted experiences. I'm not sure about you, but aren't those the core essentials of an operating system? Maybe it's just my Linux brain, but if you dominate the consumer PC OS markets, shouldn't those values be the first and foremost priorities? Just something to think about. They go on to talk more about reducing memory usage, speeding up the OS in general, etc, etc, all things that are amazing on Linux. Lastly, they talk about a more focused user experience with less distractions. So I will assume that they are talking about updates and Copilot harassing you like you're a Russian girl in India. Either way, what I want to make you understand by going through this article is that these aren't new features or something innovative. These aren't groundbreaking changes. Linux has had these features for years and you can customize the OS however you like. And I'm not saying that lightly, it genuinely is true. Just take a look at the Unix porn subreddit and you'll see the possibilities Linux offers. I'll just list them quickly so you get a rough idea of what Linux can do. Number 1, replace the entire desktop experience. On Linux, you can completely change how your computer looks and works. You can download multiple desktop environments or DEs. A DE is simply the graphical user interface of your OS. It handles how you interact with the OS on a day-to-day basis. Some notable ones are KDE Plasma, which I currently use and think is the best for new users, GNOME, Hyperland, XFCE, Cinnamon, and i3. You can make Linux look like Windows, macOS, or something completely bizarre. It's up to you. Number 2, no bloatware. On Linux, you can install a minimal system containing only what you want. So that means no Copilot, no Edge prompts, no Microsoft account requirements, no OneDrive integration, and no ads or bloat in the start menu. On Windows, many components are deeply integrated and difficult or impossible to fully remove. Why do you think there are so many different Windows Debloat scripts on the internet? Number 3, see and modify the source code. Linux is open source. If you have the skills, you can inspect how the operating system works and even modify it. This website hosts the Linux kernel. The kernel is just the base or core of an operating system. Everything you want to do goes through the kernel. On Windows, the source code is proprietary, meaning you have to trust that Microsoft isn't doing anything shady in the background. You can't actually see the code. On Linux, you don't just trust, you verify. Number 4, build your own operating system. I put emphasis on the your there because that is really pertinent to the conversation. You can start with a minimal Linux installation using Arch Linux, for example, and create exactly the system you want. You can build a home server, routers, NAS device, retro gaming console, smart home controller. If you can think of it, you can probably do it. Number 5, control updates completely. On Linux, you can update whenever you want, ignore updates, roll back updates, or update only specific packages. You can even continue to use the PC while the computer is updating under Linux. When I told my girlfriend about this, she had this face. And just look how fast I can install a program from the terminal. The video speed is not altered. So I will conclude this video. I could go into much more depth, but I just want to get people thinking about different operating systems. It can be a bit much and a bit technical for some people, but now you know when you turn your PC on once more, you're using the wrong operating system, but it is never too late to switch.